Back when I first started this channel, I talked about how tabletop role-playing games can be good for our mental health. And since then, we've looked at how they help us discover ourselves via the Johari Window, and how they can create emotional safe spaces, and even why D&D can sometimes feel like a form of group therapy. Today I want to continue that conversation, so grab yourselves a cuppa and let's talk about some empathy. So what actually is empathy? Empathy is our ability to understand and share another person's thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Psychologists generally divide empathy into three different parts. First, we have cognitive empathy. It is the understanding what somebody else is thinking or feeling. The classic phrase, "I can see why you're upset." Emotional or affective empathy. This is actually feeling something of what another person is experiencing. So, your sadness affects me emotionally. And finally, there's compassionate empathy, sometimes called the empathetic concern. That's when we not only understand someone's suffering, but we are motivated to help them. Very powerful stuff. So why do we have empathy? From an evolutionary perspective, empathy has helped our ancestors survive. Humans are a social species. We survive by cooperating, raising children together, and sharing resources and working as a group. Being able to understand another person's emotions helped reduce conflict. It strengthened friendships, it improved teamwork, and ensured that vulnerable children received the care that they needed to survive. So yes, I was once told that we are the survivors or the descendants of the most violent survivors of our past. That's not entirely true. We're also the descendants of those that learned to work together for survival. So a nice positive spin on things, if you ask me. Empathy allowed us to see the world through someone else's eyes. And that's where tabletop games became really interesting, at least to me. They let us train and work on our empathy. While researching this topic, I came across a phrase I absolutely love: an empathy gym. Just like going to the gym can strengthen your muscles, regularly practicing empathy strengthens your ability to understand other people. Though like any gym, if you're not using the equipment correctly, it can do damage. Psychologists believe empathy isn't simply something you're born with, and like many skills, it can be developed. Some of the best ways to exercise this, well, reading fiction from different perspectives. Let's say also some facts-based stuff as well, obviously. Practicing active listening without immediately judging or giving advice. That is a very important skill, where you just have to be present with someone, which is what congruence is, funnily. Trying to understand people you disagree with. And I struggle with this sometimes, especially when it comes to politics. So I find in those situations, find a common ground. Unless it's pineapple on pizza, in which case I'm going to disagree with a few people. Reflecting on your own emotions and biases, that's another very tough one. We're not all perfect, even though we think we are. We can't all be Pedro Pascal. And finally, a really good example, which is why I'm talking about this, is playing tabletop role-playing games, such as D&D. Think about what we actually do when we play these games. For a few hours every week, we stop being ourselves. Instead, we become somebody else. Maybe you're a tiefling who spent their entire life being judged because of the way they look. Maybe you're a dwarf grieving the loss of your clan. Or maybe you're that male goblin paladin who's terrified of telling that beautiful elf prince that you're like totally into him. To roleplay those characters, well, you have to ask yourself one simple question. How would this character feel? Not, how would I feel? And that is perspective taking. That's empathy in action. But it's not just the characters, it's the people around the table too. Every player wants something different. One loves the thrill of combat, another wants just a roleplay, and someone else, let's call them me, is purely there to cause absolute chaos. A great D&D group isn't about getting your own way every session. It's about listening and compromising, recognizing what other people need to enjoy themselves. And those, well, they're empathy right there. That's how you build it. It's using your empathy. Now let's be clear. Playing D&D doesn't magically make someone a better person. I know plenty of assholes out there who play the game. Can think of a couple of very famous ones as well, including a former member of Critical Role. We're not going to talk about him. If you're a member of the fan base, you'll know who I'm talking about. But like any gym, showing up consistently helps. Every campaign gives us another opportunity to practice seeing the world through someone else's eyes. And perhaps that's the real magic of TTRPGs. We don't just leave the table with stories about dragons, treasure, and impossible adventures. We leave having spent hours practicing understanding people who aren't us. In a world that often encourages us to judge first and listen later, I think that's a really remarkable thing.